Well, it's time now for our Global Disruptors section. I'm delighted to welcome onto stage Shradha Sharma to help moderate this. She's going to be speaking to two prominent women founders, so come on up. How are you? Happy International Women's Day.
A very happy International Women's Day to you too.
How's it going?
Good.
What do you think? Why do you think we need International Women's Day?
I don't think so we need International Women's Day because I feel every day is a Women's Day.
There you go. You heard it. The horse's mouth.
And before we start the session, I just want to say that, as a country, as people, as men and women, we really need to give a very standing ovation to this lady, to this woman, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, whom I absolutely love because, yes, you make us very, very proud, Kiran. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for inspiring us for years.
Thank you.
Now with this, I'm very excited to be part of India Global Forum. We're talking about unicorns and we are in Bangalore where we only see, it's raining unicorns in our country. But then unicorns are the passe. Now let's talk about decacorns. And then if we have to talk about decacorns and one of the most valuable startup in the country, then we have to talk about Byjus. And today I'm very excited to be talking to Divya. I hope Divya is here. We'll have a conversation with her to figure out how do you create one of the most valuable, impactful startup out of India. Divya. Now this is new for me. I will be talking to her virtually.
Hi, Shradha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Divya.
And
I'm supposed to find you in the front, but I will turn and see you. Hi.
That will be odd. And before Kiran ma'am leave, and say that Biocon was a dream for me. When I was I graduated. Now life took a different turn. And I guess it turned out quite well.
Divya, happy to have you here. And what we would all, we're talking about unicorns and, this has been a fantastic year for the country. But Byjus, your startup is creating a phenomenal, if I may say so, benchmark. Because not only are you a decacorn, I've had conversation with you, and Byjus, you're one of the profitable startups out of India. Tell me, what does it take to create this kind of scale, this kind of impact, and this kind of business?
So if you look at the startup ecosystem itself, I think that's what is helped us also. Is there an echo?
No. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So if you look at startups of fintech, health tech, commerce, all of them become unicorns. Some of them become successful IPOs. I think that's the initiation of the driving of startup ecosystem. Revolution, if I may add. Now it's created so many jobs. It's created avenues for innovation and disruption. So about us, Shradha, for us, it was a case of content intersecting with the need in society. Our aim was to create a billion-dollar company. It was always to impact the way millions of children learn. And more than valuation, our focus has always been on value creation. And when we are successful create that value for the student, the valuation automatically follows. Now, one of the reasons why Byjus is able to stay relevant is because we put this at the center of everything we do. So we've always been focusing on identifying, solving the requirements at a stage, helping them move from passive learning to active learning. That's never changed. The mission has never changed. Secondly, our team. So our leadership is so consistent for the last decade of our existence. It's a family now. And wherever we go together. We hardly lose anybody on top, and we also manage to into some rock stars along the way. So we do all the acquisitions as strong partnerships where it's the power of compounding the founder mentality. So we'd like to leave that we wanted some of the best thinkers, some of the best entrepreneurs in the 21st century, further enhancing our impact. So there is no room for complacency. You met Byjus, you met me. You're constantly on the move. You're constantly innovating with newer formats, newer offerings, newer subject, newer geography. So yes. We do firmly believe in growing, but growing sustainably. We've grown from close to 10,000 crores in a decade, but we've always been focused on profitability as well. And as a company, we're very conscious of capital, how much to spare, how to spend. So the main goal beyond numbers will always continue our focus on making people fall in love with it. So this is how we see it. Technologies will evolve, formats will evolve, learning will evolve. Our purpose will always remain the same. We exist to enhance human potential.
Divya, it's International Women's Day. I want to ask you when it comes to, and you know, first of all, congratulations. What you've done, what you and Byjus both and the startup has done is unprecedented in our country, the kind of scale and reach that you have. But that brings me to the question that when it comes to education, there still exists gender gap. When you look at women, girls, and boys, what are you guys thinking about it? What are you doing about it?
No, I feel deeply about this. There is already and certainly a gender gap in education. And now with the pandemic, there could be a disproportionate impact of COVID on girls and boys. And so many studies are bringing that to light. So, studies which show that 67% of girls didn't even attend online school during COVID-19. 10 million girls in India could drop out of secondary school. So what is concerning is that the gender gap in primary and secondary education can actually create those barriers, early barriers for girls, especially to learn, to grow, to pursue their potential. So this whole topic of gender equity in education is so interesting, and we can draw, we can do so much once we get into it. I'll speak about learning outcomes, for example. And there is no difference in the performance of boys and girls. So there was this National Achievement Survey. It was a huge study covering about 22 lakh students, which showed that boys and girls in elementary and secondary classes, they across the country learn at the same level. For example, their average score in math for girls and boys is in grade 3 and 5. It was 53 and 53 respectively. Absolutely no difference. And in class 10, scores are identical in both language and maths. But where is the gender gap? The gender gap is in the number of years of education that girls and boys receive, which widens with progressive years of progressive levels of education. I think that is what we need to solve. Because by class 8, almost twice the number of girls are actually dropping out of the schooling system. And this learning gap between boys and girls is widening from, say, less than 1% to more than 5% from primary to middle school. So there are a lot of things we can do. There is a lot of mind play over here. There is a lot of perception over here. So even when you compare boys and girls who are reporting similar levels of self-confidence and anxiety about, say, a subject like math, because math is, even though it shouldn't be, it's one of the most feared subjects. The gender gap is disappearing when there is no anxiousness. When there is anxiousness, the girls are performing more poorly. So what we've done, and Education for All is an initiative where we're looking to bridge this divide, and we've been very conscious of involving girls in our learning programs. Just to give a brief, over the last 1 year, from our Education for All, which is our non-profit initiative, we have 3.4 million students who are learning with us for free. We initially kept a target of 5 million children by 2025, but we've done so well, we've revised that to 10 million by 2025. And I think the most special part of it is that girls make 50% of those students. So we place a premium on collaborating with organizations that focus on out-of-school girls. So as technologies evolve, I think education will start becoming more accessible. It can provide a platform. We do have a long way to go, but it's about the right intent. It's about the conscientious effort, which can actually make a positive difference.
Thanks, Divya. We are at India Global Forum, and it's happening here in Bengaluru. You are headquartered here. Tell me and tell everyone what makes this city special, and especially for entrepreneurs, and especially that we are producing Decacon in you.
So I've been, I won't say born, but completely brought up in Bangalore. So schooling, everything I've done here. So I've seen the city evolve, transform, change over the last 3 decades. So in many ways, I can say it's a representation of India because of how diverse it is, right? You find people from all corners over here. So, and this diversity I've seen partly because of my defense background and partly due to the fact that Bangalore itself is so beautifully diverse. probably because it's also one of the biggest IT hubs on this side of the world for the past 2 decades. And over the years, it's actually attracted and retained some of the best tech talent in the city. So maybe this sets the strong foundation for starting up in tech. We have so many successful startups built here: Flipkart, Swiggy, Zoomcar, Practo. I can go on and on. So as of December 2021, if I'm not wrong, while 4,514 startups were added in Bangalore. This is fantastic, but I should also tell you that it's almost competitive to get the best talent over here. So there is huge indexing on quality of the kind of crowd that you get. Maybe that's the reason why we have such growth, because I believe that processes will fall in place, but with the right people, you can do phenomenal things. So I think a large population of youngsters in the city also creates an audience of early adopters willing to try, willing to experiment new things, which is needed for a tech-based startup. So.
What does it mean for you? What has it meant for you to be a woman entrepreneur?
I'm so many people ask me about the challenges, but I'm actually an example of what a woman can achieve and do if things go right. If you're not brought up with that myopic lens of gender. I've been the only child to my parents, and I've been given the same exposure that a boy would have been given. So from my grandparents, my parents, all my aunts have been working. So defense, biotechnology, banking, all of these backgrounds. So inspiration was all around me. I've always grown up assuming that women can take care and also take charge, because I've seen them have loving families, but also make a career and a mark for themselves. So for me, this was but the norm to grow up, be independent. Of course, I didn't know that this is the path I would take, but I knew that I would make a career for myself. And so that's how it's been.
Thank you so much, Divya. All the very best. And we look forward to continued success of Byjus. And as you expand globally, take the India story to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, can I please invite Vineeta Singh, co-founder and CEO of Sugar Cosmetics, onto the stage.
Which side?
Whichever. I was just thinking that, should I invite Vineeta Singh, co-founder and CEO of Sugar Cosmetics, or should I say...
I prefer that introduction.
Or should I say, shall I invite the cool shark from the Shark Tank? But tell me, what has it meant? What has the show meant? Because we're just all hearing and observing and seeing what is happening on the show. So tell me, what has it meant for you?
Nowadays, whenever I speak somewhere, I'm counting seconds into the Shark Tank question, because it's almost like everybody's like, okay, fine, get done with your part about business and stuff. Come to the real masala. But it's been fun. I actually decided to get on Shark Tank because in my own journey as an entrepreneur, and I talk about it a lot, that I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years and had lots and lots of, more than 100 investor rejections and a lot of failures. And I just thought that if I could share my story with other entrepreneurs. Last 2 years has been very hard for small businesses. In this entire bubble of VC-funded businesses, it's easy to get carried away by the fact that, we created 45 unicorns last year and there is so much money in the ecosystem, but there are a lot of businesses that struggled over the last couple of years and have been on the verge of shutting down. So I just felt that this could be a great platform, and those who are on the verge of giving up, even if 10 such companies decided to fight on and get through, because after a very, very hard phase, the good part always comes. It's almost like, the only thing given in running a company is it's all cyclical. And whenever you're going through a hard phase, the good phase will come. So just hang in there, keep trying. That was the idea. But I think a lot of things I didn't expect happened, right? First was, of course, the number of women who actually came to Shark Tank and got funded. more than about 48% of the people who came to pitch were women, and most of them got funded as well. So in my investments, about 55% of the capital I put in went to women-led companies, and same is the case for many of the sharks. It was, very eye-opening living in Mumbai and, having access to places like Delhi, Bangalore, and seeing that all the innovation is happening there. But then you realize it's in the smaller tier 3, tier 4 cities where people are really solving the problems of Bharat. And many times you think you're sitting here that, oh, this can't be a large market, but you have no idea what's happening in the smaller cities. So I feel that it was very eye-opening. I was living in a bubble, and my eyes opened, and I learned so much from all these entrepreneurs. And I'm very proud of the fact that this turned out to be also a platform where only 7% of the money went to people from IITs, IIMs. Again, unlike the traditional VC businesses, 93% went to founders from no-name colleges. And I feel that's the beginning of a big revolution, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I'm just observing you. Incredible energy. Amazing. Tell me, Vineeta, with Sugar Cosmetics, you've created a very differentiated brand, a product, and in a very short time, right? Because you're competing in a space where Unilever and P&Gs have been operating. And we all love Sugar Cosmetics. It's a lovely name, lovely brand, growing very fast. What does it take if you have to, in very short, tell all of us the real deep insight into what does it take to build a brand like that in an extremely cluttered market?
Yeah. So while everybody, looks at the fact that, okay, there is Unilever and L'Oreal in this space and it's cluttered, we actually were looking at not a change in cosmetics, but a change in women. And I feel that this brand was born out of just observing the fact that younger women were bold, they were independent, they were defining their own destiny. So they weren't okay with following, brands that their mothers told them to use, or on television seeing a celebrity and picking up the products that the celebrity recommended. They wanted to make their own choices. So we started as a brand just obsessing with millennial women and just trying to create the best product for them. I know it sounds crazy, when you say that, you create a cosmetics brand by building the best product. But really, if you look at the FMCG brands, they were complacent with the idea that the product is a commodity. And we really have this massive distribution, and we have this massive ATL budget. So we don't need to worry too much about the product needs to just get by. And just on the basis of these, we'll be able to maintain our lead position. So we started with saying, okay, can we create the best product, which meant products meant for women who are stepping out. It's extremely long-lasting, inclusive products that even work for women with deeper skin tones. And social media and e-commerce made it so easy because it was democratizing beauty. You could just have a product with zero marketing spend, but on Amazon it would have millions of reviews and it would get discovered as a hero product. And so we were a product-led brand. And incidentally, what happened is, right, as on date, 65% of the women are under the age of 35. So this demographic started expanding, and it's in the next 2 decades, I feel it's going to belong to young women. And as the demographic shifts, a brand like us, so now we are 3rd largest in overall cosmetics, in the color cosmetics category and market share. We don't think that anything can stop us from being number 1 in the next 10 years. And we're very confident about that because the shift that's happening in younger women making their own decisions is helping brands which obsess with them create products that work better.
We wish you the very best. Maybe next year or next year or next year. One of these years we'll meet for International Women's Day and you'll have the #1 brand in the country.
Thank you. I was almost wondering if you're going to end this conversation saying you'll be a unicorn, but thank you for giving me a target that I genuinely feel more excited about.
No, I get very excited about baby corns, though we are in Bangalore and we get excited about unicorns, but I think there's more to entrepreneurship than that. Now that brings me to the question about you as, and of course this is Women's Day and I have those questions, so I'm asking, what does it mean to build a business in India of today as a woman?
Yeah. So, last week I was in IIT Madras because they did this book on IIT Madras entrepreneurs. There were 16 of them. There was one woman out of those 16. And I remember in one of the conversations, the author had asked me this question and saying that, why don't you think it's cliched that the only one entrepreneur out of 16 in a book of IITM entrepreneurs is running a cosmetics business? And of course, at that time, I really lashed out at him saying that, why is this onus of, always like trying to break the glass, trying to prove ourselves on us? I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I love the fact that we employ more than 2,000 women. I don't need to justify to you why my business is in cosmetics and not, say, deep tech. But later on, I thought about it and I just did the math on the odds, right? So the odds are still stacked up against us. The good thing is that at all levels, it's changing fast. So if you do the math, right, in my batch, out of 450, there were 25 women, so 5% engineers at that time from IIT being women. Out of those, 50% of them got to work beyond the 5-6 years phase because, of course, family happens, men don't share the load, and it just comes on to women. They have, still less than 25% of the workforce is women. So you put another 50% odds there. Then all of these businesses, 16 were funded companies, except for one, which is, of course, Shradha Vembu's. But if you look at the number of businesses funded globally, which have women founders, it's 2.6%, right? So you multiply those odds, and then, of course, even after getting funded, only 10% of the businesses really scale. So when you multiply, and the compounding effect of odds being low at every stage, it becomes like a 0.05% probability. So obviously, in a book with 16 entrepreneurs, it'll be hard to have 8 women, which is where we should be going. But the good thing is, of course, at each of these levels, in IIT, in the current batch, there are 25% are women. So all of these are changing. So I'm very optimistic about the fact that, the next decade is going to belong to women entrepreneurs. We'll see a lot of them creating large businesses and inspiring stories like Falguni's, as I think Divya or Kiran had mentioned. So it is, but yeah, it is for me. I was lucky to be at the right place at the right time. And even though I had 100 rejections, I needed only that one investor to believe in us. And they really believed in us and backed us continuously through our journeys of figuring out our pivot. But I'm very grateful, but I'm also very determined that it is important for people like me who've benefited from all of this to pay it forward. So I invest primarily in women-led companies as an investor. I ensure that 60-70% of our workforce is women. My goal is to employ more than 10,000 women. And I do feel that that's eventually going to have a cascading effect because women employ more women, then they run their own companies, they employ more women. I feel that, just having more role models and paying it forward continuously is what's going to help us really change. And someday there'll be a book of IITM entrepreneurs, all women.
Brilliant, brilliant. We have 2 minutes to go. If there is any question, then please ask. Quickly. Any question?
No Shark Tank questions. No, you can ask.
Okay. Cool. So, Vineeta, what would you like to say to all the investors, because you faced 100 rejections, and I remember that number. Yeah. So tell me, what would you like to say? Because, Kiran was also talking about that women get, they experience different questions. Yeah. What would you like to say based on your own personal experience?
Yeah. So I think the questions have really improved or changed in the last 10 years. In the last 5 years, I've never had these questions being asked to me, at least about, what if you have children and so on. And that it was very common 10 years back. And I think there are a lot of these cohorts, etc., in these investment funds that are dedicated to women. I still feel that, the real action will be the numbers. So I do feel that, and a lot of times it's, considered that is it right to have women-focused funds and, have a certain corpus dedicated to women? And people question that. But unfortunately, what happens is that, without that, the numbers are taking just too long to come up. And if it's going to take very long, we're not going to have enough role models. Just to accelerate that journey, I feel put your money where your mouth is. Really, ensure that like we have these, diversity initiatives, ensure that at least 20-30% of the businesses you invest in have female founders, have that as a drive, not just, having programs around. I feel this whole Women's Day where one day we celebrate them and rest of the year there's nothing, no change. I think that's one of the things. But the bigger thing I feel that men need to do is really share the load at home. I feel that all investors, like the first, they can come here and talk about how women entrepreneurs are better than men, etc. And then they go back and then, they let women do 6 times more work at home than they do, including educated women. And that's a statistic, right? Women do 6:1 of unpaid labor. At the end of the day, we have a certain number of hours in a day and a certain bandwidth, right? So if you're doing 6 hours of homework where our husbands are doing 1 hour, it's not going to be a level playing field no matter what you do at workplace. So I think for all investors and men, solve that at your homes first. And I think that'll be the biggest contribution men can do, because they always talk about coming, to the Women's Day celebration and being a part of the solution. So.
Brilliant. Vineeta, very proud of you, and all the very best to #1 cosmetics brand in the country.
Thank you
so
Shradha.
much. Thanks.